Witness N just dropped an absolute bombshell at the Madlanga Commission. She took the stand and exposed a horrifying report from an illegal Pakistani national who confessed that IDAC head Andrea Johnson and senior investigator Sunil Bellochun weren't investigating him, they were extorting him. In the explosive video I'm about to show you, Witness N breaks down exactly how this state-funded cartel operates. We are talking about 400,000 rand in cash, plasma TVs, and an entire house, all bought and paid for to secure criminal protection from the very people supposed to deport him. But when this illegal foreigner ran out of money to pay his weekly protection fee, the police allegedly acted like the mob, shaking him down and physically assaulting him in cold blood, and the cover-up is even worse. When Witness N went to the East London police to pull the docket and expose this syndicate, Sunil Bellochun hunted her down on WhatsApp to intimidate her into silence. This is absolute treason. If you want Andrea Johnson and her corrupt squad stripped of their badges and thrown into maximum security, flood the comments right now with "send them to C-Max," slam that like button, subscribe to the Patriotic Mzansi podcast, and share this link everywhere before the state tries to scrub this evidence. Jabulani, roll the tape.
In the course of my work, I am sometimes approached by the members of law enforcement, informers, and members of the public who want to report suspected criminal activity or otherwise disclose potentially unlawful conduct. I would then meet with these individuals, consider the information that they are sharing, and discuss with my superiors what steps I should take in relation to the information that I received. Towards the end of 2025, I received information concerning alleged criminal conduct on the part of Mr. Sunil Bellochun, a senior investigator at the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, which is known as IDAC.
Please continue.
The information contained in this statement remains under investigation, and I bring it forward in order to assist the Commission and for the Commission to determine whether it necessitates further direction by the Commission. In December 2025, I was conducting investigations in the Eastern Cape when I was contacted by Mr. Neil. Mr. Neil was a director in the Department of Community Safety in the Eastern Cape. He was responsible for community police relations and is known to me as we had previously worked together on some criminal matters. Mr. Neil explained that he has been approached by a Mr. Asif Habib Muhammad, who is a Pakistan national. If I may add there, he has an RSA identity document, who complained that he, along with other Pakistani shop owners, were being extorted by a law enforcement officer. Mr. Neil further informed me that Mr. Asif Muhammad had been assaulted by the same law enforcement official earlier in 2025, and that despite laying a criminal complaint, Mr. Asif Muhammad had not been assisted. I agreed to sit down and talk to Mr. Asif Muhammad. In December 2025, an initial meeting was held between Mr. Neil, Mr. Asif Muhammad, members of the tactical response team, and I. At that meeting, Mr. Asif Muhammad informed me that he had been assaulted by his landlord, which is Mr. Sunil Bellochun, on the 27th of September 2025. He explained that his landlord was a law enforcement officer and a member of IDAC. He said that during the assault, Mr. Bellochun had punched him, leaving him with a bloody nose, loose teeth, and torn clothes. He provided a photograph he had taken of himself, displaying the injuries he said had been caused by the assault. This photograph is attached as X1.
Thank you, Witness N. I'll just place on record that annexure X1 appears on page 1 of your annexure bundle. We won't flight that visual, but just for you to confirm that that is the image that was provided to you. Page 1 of your annexures.
Indeed.
Okay.
It It is, Commissioners.
And perhaps for completion, can I inquire why in paragraph 10 that initial meeting was attended by members of tactical response team as well?
Commissioners, because I am always accompanied by members of combat, which happened to be the tactical response team on the day.
Thank you, witness N. You are at paragraph 11 on page 3.
Paragraph 11, Mr. Asif Muhammad explained that on the same day of his assault, he went to the East London police station and laid a criminal charge against Mr. Bellochun for assault with the intent to cause grievous bodily harm. He further explained that on the same day, he received a telephone call from someone who said that they are calling from the East London police station. While he was still speaking to that person, Mr. Bellochun could be heard shouting that Mr. Asif Muhammad must come back to the police station and that my police will deal with you. That is quoted from what he actually said.
Thank you, witness N. Please proceed.
Paragraph 13. Mr. Asif Muhammad shared that later that day he received an SMS from Mr. Bellochun informing him that a case of fraud in the amount of 400,000 rands had been opened against him by Mr. Bellochun. Mr. Asif Muhammad explained to me that he had lived at a property belonging to Mr. Bellochun, believing that he would be safe living at a property belonging to a policeman. Instead, he was further subjected to more demands for money and that he witnessed the delivery of suspicious goods to the property, such as televisions, etc. I then cautioned Mr. Asif Muhammad that the information he was providing with regards to an official had to be verified. Upon being presented with this information, I elected to go to the East London police station and asked the branch commander to uplift the dockets. In the usual course, if a member of the public approaches me with such information, I would either advise them to go to the police station and report the crime, or I would commence a preliminary investigation myself. In this case, however, Mr. Asif Muhammad had already laid a complaint, and he informed me that since opening the case in September, he had never been contacted by a member of the SAPS. I then decided to approach the branch commander for the East London police station and explain the situation to him. He gave me permission to uplift the dockets and make copies. I in turn undertook to update the branch commander in the event that my investigation yielded any developments. When I turn over to the paginated 5, I took it upon myself to make further inquiries as the matter involved possible police corruption, which I am empowered to investigate. This gives a member of the public an anonymous route to report information about potentially criminal conduct by a police officer, staff member, or volunteer.
Witness N.
Pardon?
When you say in paragraph 19 that you took it upon yourself to make further inquiries, and you say at the end of the sentence, that this is something which you are empowered to investigate. Please expand on that and explain what you mean by empowered to investigate.
When I say empowered to investigate, commissioners, I mean that since I am in the anti-corruption unit, we look into the abuse of entrusted power or authority for personal, financial, or potential gain, and also that corruption undermines the rule of law and erodes public trust in institutions. I am under anti-corruption, and a police officer, so I am empowered to do so.
Okay, please proceed. You are at paragraph 20 on page 5.
I also took steps to verify the information that I received from Mr. Asif. In particular, I contacted a law enforcement who I was informed had resided in the same property belonging to Mr. Bellochun. I spoke to him in order to seek further information about the property and left my contact details with him. On the 22nd of December 2025, I was contacted by Mr. Bellochun via a WhatsApp call and text, making me to understand who he was. The WhatsApp texts are attached as X11. He communicated with me using the number.
You don't need to read the number. That's right. Yes, you can continue with the sentence.
Okay. Which is the same number that Mr. Asif Muhammad has registered as Sunil.bro on his phone. I understood this to be some kind of a protection fee, commissioners, that Mr. Bellochun was extorting from this individual.
And your basis for that understanding stems from?
It stems from the provided bank statement from the victim, which depicts regular payments, weekly or 2 days apart or 3 days apart of exorbitant amounts.
Witness N, perhaps before we go to those bank statements, in the paragraph immediately thereafter, in paragraph 29, you deal with the issue of the WhatsApp conversations. Perhaps address that paragraph and then let's continue from there, please.
He shared a printout of the WhatsApp conversation, which I attached as X7. A reading of the messages reveals a pattern of Mr. Bellochun repeatedly demanding money from Mr. Asif Muhammad, and threats to him are highlighted. He also provided
Witness N, before we get to paragraph 30, you reference annexure X7 in paragraph 29. You see that?
X7, yes, I do.
Could I ask you to go to page 33 of your annexure bundle, page 33?
It was Mr. Asif Muhammad himself who gave me this printout.
Thank you.
From his cell phone and the conversations between himself and Sunil.
And witness, and this document is quite a voluminous document, but in certain places, certain aspects of the document have been highlighted. I'll take you, for example, to page 46.
Yes. Where it says, "I will kill you."
The pink highlight on page 46.
That is correct.
Do you see the date there? Could you read the date and the time?
The date is the 21st of August, 2025 at 17:25.
And the sender of the message is?
It is written Sunil.bro.
And this is the individual the screenshot that you referred to earlier on page 55.
That is correct.
And in your witness statement, you indicate that this is an extract provided to you by Mr. Asif Muhammad of his WhatsApp chats with Mr. Bellochun. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And who presented this highlight in the texts? Who made these markings in the WhatsApp chats?
When Asif pointed out, I then highlighted as he pointed out because I did ask him to show me when exactly and where does he state certain averments were made.
And so
happened.
Okay, but he didn't specifically give you the information about how the request came about, whether it was her asking him to get it for her or whether she knew that he already had it and asked just to send it to her.
No, Commissioners, as far as I'm concerned, he was quite clear on that. He was asked to source the documents, okay, because he wouldn't have otherwise. I do not see a scenario where he would volunteer information like that.
Mr. Mubet, because we have Mr. Bateman's statement, I think you should put on record what he says about this topic. and I know you've had the discussion with the colonel and you have an account from his interview of Mr. Bateman, but I think in fairness to Mr. Bateman and for completeness of your discussion, you should put what he says. So he deals with it from paragraph 5, maybe, and then 6 and 7.
Yes. Commissioner Baloy, the reason why I'm asking the Colonel is because that interview happens in 2022 and this statement is in 2026. So I just wanted to know, when he had the conversation in 2022, what was his version as to the request? Because in 2026, Colonel Rulofse wasn't around when the statement was taken. That was Captain McLean.
I understand that, but because we do have the statement on this very topic that you're canvassing, I think it should be put to you.
So if you go to page 40 of the bundle, that's Mr. Bateman's statement, which he deposed to in June 2026. And at paragraph 5, he says, in July 2018, a voice recording and pictures of an affidavit deposed to by Brigadier Petle of the South African Police Services was sent to me. The recording was of a conversation between SAP's Major General Feroz Khan and Petle. 6, I received the information from a source whose identity I cannot reveal. I attach here to a redacted screenshot of the message. 7, I don't have any recollection of the circumstances that led me to send the recording and documents to Johnson. However, I can only infer that it was following a discussion and in response to a request from Johnson. I received the information and sent it to Johnson on the same day, 3 July 2018.
Commissioners, it is more or less in line in terms of what was said to me. I think this is now 4 years later. I think he probably couldn't remember all the detail that he gave to us when we had the conversation with him in 2022. So, but it is in line, and that is how I understood it as to what had happened. There was a request, and based on the request, he would have provided the information.
Thank you. Okay, we can go back to your statement. At paragraph 12, page 5.
In August 2022, I received a statement from the Colonel setting out the event on the 4th of July 2018. At this stage, Advocate Johnson was the head of IDAC, where I was placed even though I was attached to the DPCI. I could not approach Advocate Johnson given the allegations of interference and defeating the ends of justice. At this stage, Captain McLean had also ascertained that the NPA decided on 15 December 2021 already not to prosecute the assault and intimidation docket. And the docket had been withdrawn from the care system on the 13th of January 2022.
Colonel, what does it mean the docket had been withdrawn from the CAS system?
It actually should read closed, Commissioner. What we have a cash administration system, which is an administration system for our dockets. So when the case docket is opened, it would be registered on the cash system. So at the end of an investigation, whether it is unfounded, whether a warrant of arrest was issued, you will then close the docket and it will be closed on the cash system. I think in this specific case, it was a nolli prosecute, if I'm not mistaken. So the docket would have been closed on the cash system as a nolli prosecute. But as I said, I don't have the docket in front of me, so I'm not sure exactly as what it was closed. But then it get archived. So that is in essence what happened. So there won't be any further queries on the administration system, bring forward dates and that kind of thing. But the docket will show that it's been archived, and you can go and find the docket there.
So it doesn't mean, because that's how I had read it, because I don't know your systems. So when you say withdrawn from the CAS system, I had read it to mean it had been deleted from the systems. You wouldn't find it.
It cannot be deleted. There will always be an audit trail. Okay. So you can't delete that.
Thank you.
Okay, page 5, paragraph 13 of your statement, Advocate Johnson's knowledge of the allegations against her.
I decided to approach the national lead of the DPCI, Lieutenant General Labia, for assistance because of the circumstances that I found myself in. I met General Labia in the last week of August 2022, but I do not recall the exact date. I informed him of the allegations contained in the Colonel's statement and furnished him with a copy of the Colonel's statement. I told General Labia that we needed the NPA to assign a senior prosecutor to the matter. I expected General Labia to request the NPA head, at the time Advocate Shamila Batoy, for a senior prosecutor to be assigned to the case. I could not take the matter to a lower court due to Advocate Johnson's position as head of IDAC. Advocate Johnson's position also placed me in a precarious position, because I had been placed at IDAC in Advocate Johnson's office as part of a duty arrangements between the DPCI and IDAC. Paragraph 14. On 7 September 2022, Advocate Johnson approached me at work. I was still at IDAC at the time, and asked me to see her in her office. She told me that she had been called by Advocate Batoy's office, who informed her of the Colonel's affidavit and the allegations against Advocate Johnson contained therein. Advocate Johnson told me the name of the Colonel who deposed to the affidavit. I found it extremely concerning that Advocate Batoy would have told Advocate Johnson about a protected disclosure implicating her, Advocate Johnson, in wrongdoing. I also thought that perhaps Advocate Johnson was able to figure out the identity of the Colonel without Advocate Batoy informing her thereof. But then Advocate Johnson to continue to reveal that she knew the Colonel's affidavit was commissioned by Colonel Widdendal, and she relayed information, told me that Advocate Batoy showed her the Colonel's affidavit when I met with her on the 7th of September 2022. In Mr. Bateman's WhatsApp messages to Advocate Nell on 5 September 2022, he said that Advocate Johnson told him that Advocate Batoy approached her about the Colonel's affidavit. He says that Advocate Johnson told him she was not interested in seeing the statement. Mr. Bateman also mentioned in his WhatsApp messages to Advocate Nell and Advocate Johnson that's
told him that I had no choice.
No choice but to approach General Labia. This confirms to me that General Labia met Advocate Batoy and gave her the Colonel's affidavit. And thereafter, Advocate Batoy either showed or gave the Colonel's statement to Advocate Johnson. There is a part in one of the messages, and I don't recall reading it, in which Bateman, as part of his WhatsApp messages, says there's an issue between Khan and Petley. Now, that information could have only come from the affidavit itself. From
Yes, it is there. You did read it.
No, I did, sorry. So if I did read it, I'm sorry. But that information was in the affidavit.
Yes, it's on page 53 of the screenshots.
If you have access to the affidavit, you would have known that kind of detail.
You may continue. Paragraph 26.
On 31 January 2025, I retired from from the South African Police Service. At that stage, we were unable to secure the appointment of a prosecutor to consider both Brigadier Petley's criminal complaint against General Khan and the allegations against Advocate Johnson of what I consider to be defeating the ends of justice. When I retired, the docket was assigned to Captain McLean, who had worked with me on the case from the start and to whom I report regularly on my interactions with role players where he had not accompanied me. I think it's important for the Commission to hear from Captain McLean and the Colonel as well, because they will corroborate my version, especially regarding what I reported to Captain McLean contemporaneously. It may be important corroboration if those implicated attempt to rewrite history. And then paragraph 28, I hope that my testimony will assist the Commission in its important work.
Thank you, Commissioners. That's the evidence of the Colonel.
Colonel, when you met with Advocate Johnson on the 7th of September, did you mention to her, or did you get the impression, if you did, that she knew that this was a protected disclosure?
Commissioner, I can't answer the question because she did not allude to anything like that. But what I do know, if she had access to the affidavit, which I believe she did, she would have seen it. It would have been in. It was a protected disclosure based on the facts in the affidavit itself.
Based on the facts, you mean the nature of the allegation?
The nature of the allegation, where she worked, the fact that she could be intimidated, the fact that the guy was a superior officer. So those are the things, if you look at the act itself, those are the kind of things that you look out for when it is a protected disclosure.
Thank you.
In paragraph 12 of your statement, you seem to be suggesting that what Advocate Johnson did amounts to interference with investigation and defeating the ends of justice. What is it about her conduct constitutes, according to you, interference with investigation and defeating the ends of justice?
Well, there's Commissioners, there's more than two issues, but the ones that comes to mind is the fact that she would warn a suspect before the time of and provide the statement before that person is entitled to the statement, the suspect is entitled, and as a prosecutor, she must know that. The second thing is calling the witnesses. And calling me in and calling Bateman, that to me is another huge red flag, because she is, as far as I'm concerned, the implicated person. She did not deny that she was duped by Khan. She did not say that had I known this was the issue. So that never happened. So as far as I'm concerned, when I was in there and that happened, that is why I'm saying this, that it was done deliberately. There's more than two things. It's also the effect of a call from someone of her stature to a witness saying to him, I'm giving you a heads up, the Hawks is going to come and talk to you. That to me is also not on. And then the second thing is to imply you don't have anything to worry about. It's sort of trying to comfort the guy. But why make the call in the first place? Because you're telling him, actually, you've got something to worry about. So make sure that you say the right thing. That is my inference from the situation itself. Because we don't do things like this when we investigate matters. As an investigating officer, I don't do things like this. So I expect more from a prosecutor when it comes to this kind of action.
And then documents that she would have obtained from Mr. Bateman, I understand that Mr. Bateman at the time was a journalist.
That is correct.
So is it not fair then to say the documents or the docket or its contents were already in the public domain because the journalist already was in possession of them? Even the journalist himself could have given them to General Khan.
I understand the question, but but the docket or the information in the docket is not supposed to be in the public domain. It got there in an unsanctioned format, because if you look at it, Mr. Bateman was not entitled to that documents, so it's not part of the public domain. The public domain comes when you go to court and the documents are handed up. Then it is public domain. But at that point in time, it's not in the public domain. The fact that you have a source who gave you the documents does not make it in the public domain, not as far as I'm concerned when it comes to a reporter. You can't circumvent the process just because the source gave you the information.
So in short, you say even Mr. Bateman was not properly in possession of the docket, and Ms. Johnson should have known that when she received it from him, and she should not have shared it with the with the suspect in the assault complaint.
That is correct, Commissioners. And I think what takes it further for me is the fact that she requested that private emails being used, because it was done on her Gmail account. She asked the Colonel to go to her Gmail account, and she also asked the Colonel to delete the emails when it was done. So those things, if it was an above board conversation, you would use your NPA email account. You would request the documents, because you are actually entitled to request documents in her position. But if you want to put a layer between yourself and the request, that is when you go off the grid and you do it that way. She had access to her official email. She did not have to use her Gmail address and did not have to ask the witness to destroy or to delete the emails. So those are the things that is what made it that is what informed me of what she did.